The market on the alien world was loud and crowded, full of strange lights and smells. Creatures of many kinds moved between stalls, their voices mixing together like a storm. Some sold weapons, some sold food, and some sold things no human would ever accept. In the middle of this chaos walked a man, a human traveler. His name was not known here, but everyone could see he was different. His clothes were rough, his eyes sharp, and his step steady. He had come to trade supplies, maybe fuel or food, nothing more, nothing less. But fate had other plans. At a shadowed corner of the market stood an alien father. His skin was pale and cracked, his hands shaking as if they had forgotten how to hold strength. His eyes were red, not from anger, but from something deeper, desperation. In his hands he held a small bottle, a golden drink that caught the light. It was whiskey, a rare thing here, but powerful enough to ruin lives. The alien father's voice broke as he spoke. "Please, human, take them." The human looked and froze. Standing behind the alien were three girls. They were his daughters. Their clothes were torn, their faces marked with dust, their eyes were wide with fear. They looked too young to carry such sadness. The human frowned. "Take them? What do you mean?" The father raised the bottle higher, shaking. "For this, you can have them. 3 daughters, strong, healthy. They are yours. Just give me the drink." For a moment the human thought he had heard wrong. The market noise seemed to fade away. He looked at the father, then at the daughters, then back at the bottle. "You are selling your own children for whiskey?" His voice was low, calm, but heavy with disgust. The father's eyes dropped. "I have no choice. The debts are heavy. The collectors will kill me. They will take the girls anyway, at least this way. I get something. At least I get one last night to forget." The human felt anger rising, but he hid it. The daughters stood in silence. Their faces told the truth. This was not the first time their father had failed them. They did not cry, they only waited, as if they had already been abandoned. The human's mind raced. He could walk away. He could pretend this was not his problem. But something inside him refused. He looked at the girls again, and in their eyes he saw something fragile, something human, even though they were not of his world. He sighed, then spoke firmly. "I will take them." The father's hands shook harder. He gave a broken laugh, half relief, half madness. He grabbed the whiskey with desperate fingers, uncaring of the deal he had made. The girls flinched as he pulled the bottle close to his chest, already drinking like a man drowning. But the human did not watch him. He walked to the daughters, lowering himself so he was eye level with them. His voice was softer now. "You're safe with me." They did not answer. They did not believe him, but they followed when he motioned for them to move. Their small steps were hesitant, their eyes flicking back to the father who was already lost in his drink. The man who should have protected them now cared only for the bottle. As they walked away, whispers rose in the market. Some aliens laughed, calling the human a fool. Others shook their heads. Some even looked hungry, as if planning to follow. The human felt their stares, but did not stop. He led the girls toward his ship, his jaw tight, his thoughts dark. He knew this was only the beginning. Behind him, the alien father leaned against a wall, the whiskey bottle half empty. His laughter echoed, bitter and hollow. He had traded blood for fire, family for poison, but the human. He had taken more than 3 daughters. He had taken a chance, a risk, a burden. And somewhere deep inside, he knew this trade would change everything. The girls walked close to him, silent but not resisting, their faces still full of fear. But for the first time, there was also a small spark, something they had never dared to feel before: hope. And in that crowded, dirty marketplace, with the sound of drunk laughter fading behind, a new story had begun, a story that none of them could yet imagine, a story of danger, of family, and of what it truly meant to be human. The escape, the human, walked fast through the crowded marketplace. The 3 alien girls followed close behind, their small steps hurried, their heads low. They did not know where he was taking them, but anything was better than the place they had left. Behind them, the sound of laughter echoed. The alien father was lost in his bottle, drowning in poison instead of protecting his blood. But danger was not over. The market had many eyes, and deals like this never stayed hidden for long. The human could feel the stares. Traders paused, whispering. Some pointed, some sneered, some looked ready to follow to them. 3 daughters were worth much more than a bottle of whiskey. To them, a human walking away with them looked like weakness or opportunity. He tightened his grip on the youngest girl's hand. "Stay close," he said quietly. His voice was calm but sharp. The girls did as told. Their fear made them obedient. As they reached the outer edge of the market, a group of rough aliens stepped forward, their bodies tall and scarred, their eyes cold and greedy. One of them blocked the path. "Where do you think you're going, human?" The human stopped. His face gave nothing away. The eldest daughter shivered. She recognized the group, local slavers, men who bought and sold lives like fruit on a stand. The alien leader smirked. 3 daughters, You think you can just walk out with them? You should sell them to us. Human hands don't know how to keep property like this. The human's jaw tightened. His voice was low but strong. "They're not property," the slaver laughed, a deep, cruel sound. "Everything is property. Human, even you, if I decide so." The youngest girl squeezed the human's hand. Her eyes begged him to keep moving, but the slavers were already spreading out, surrounding them. The human thought fast. He could not fight them here, not in the open market with the girls in danger. He needed to move. He needed to get them to his ship. "Step aside," he warned. His voice was calm, almost too calm, that made the slavers hesitate. Humans had a reputation. They were smaller, weaker, but dangerous in ways others could not predict. One slaver reached out to grab the middle daughter. She flinched back with a small cry. The human's hand moved like lightning. He caught the slaver's wrist and twisted. A crack echoed. The alien screamed and fell back, clutching his arm. The crowd gasped. The human didn't wait. "Run!" he ordered, pulling the girls forward. They dashed past the stunned slavers, weaving into the maze of stalls and alleys. The chase had begun. The market turned chaotic. Slavers shouted. Pushing through the crowd, the human led the girls through narrow paths, his eyes scanning every corner. He knew the market too well. He had studied its layout before. He used that knowledge now, taking sudden turns, ducking under cloth banners, slipping through broken fences. The girls struggled to keep up, but his hand never let go of theirs. His voice cut through the panic. "Faster, don't stop, don't look back." Behind them, heavy footsteps and angry voices followed. The slavers were close, at last. They reached the docking area where ships rested under weak shields. The human ship stood at the far end, a rough, patched vessel, but strong enough to fly. The girls stared in shock. They had never seen such a thing up close, but the slavers were already there, rushing from another path, cutting them off. The human cursed under his breath. His mind raced. He pushed the girls behind a crate. "Stay low," he whispered. He pulled out a small weapon from his belt. It was not the biggest gun, but it was enough. The slavers charged, confident in their numbers. The human fired. Bright shots lit the air, forcing them back. The sound echoed across the docks. The girls covered their ears, their eyes wide with terror, but also with awe. They had never seen anyone fight for them, never seen anyone risk their life just to keep them safe. One slaver lunged. The human dodged, slamming him against a wall. Another swung a blade. The human blocked with his arm, pain shooting through, but he pushed on. Finally, with quick shots and faster moves, he broke through. He grabbed the girls again. Rushing toward his ship, the door slid open with a hiss. "Inside now," he commanded. The girls scrambled in, their hearts pounding, their breaths sharp. The human followed, sealing the door just as another wave of slavers reached the dock. Pounding fists hit the hull. Angry voices cursed outside. but it was too late. The engines roared to life. The ship shook, rising from the ground. The youngest girl clung to him, her small voice shaking. "Will they come after us?" The human looked at the stars ahead, his voice steady. "Yes, they will, but they won't take you. Not while I'm here." The girls stared at him, their fear mixing with something new. They did not know this human. They did not know why he risked so much, but in that moment, they began to believe him. And as the ship broke through the clouds, leaving the slavers and the drunk father behind, a dangerous journey had truly begun. The journey begins. The ship rose higher and higher until the marketplace below looked like nothing more than a cluster of lights fading into the night. The roar of the engine slowly softened, replaced by the calm hum of space travel. For the first time in their lives, the three alien girls were far away from the chains of their world. Inside the ship, the air was warmer, softer. The lights glowed gently, and the walls hummed with quiet energy. It felt different from the market safe, protected. The youngest daughter held tightly to the human's arm, afraid that if she let go, the world would take her again. The human knelt down, looking at them closely. "You're safe now," said. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp, still alert. He knew danger wasn't over. The eldest girl narrowed her eyes. "Why? Why did you take us?" Her voice was strong, but it shook. It was not trust, it was suspicion. The human stayed silent for a moment. Then he spoke with steady words. "Because no one should be treated like you were. Not for money, not for whiskey. You are not property." The middle daughter whispered softly, almost too quiet to hear. "Then what are we to you?" The human looked at her, his jaw tightening. His answer was simple. "You are children. You need someone to care for you. And until you can stand on your own, that someone will be me." The youngest blinked, her small voice breaking. "So, you are father?" The word struck him like a blade and a blessing at the same time. He did not answer, not yet. Instead, he stood up and walked toward the control panel, checking the ship's route. Behind them, the girls whispered to each other. They did not know whether to believe him. They had been promised safety before, only to be betrayed. Their trust had been broken too many times. The human adjusted the course. His ship cut across the stars, heading toward the outer rim, but even as he steered, warning signals flashed on the screen. His eyes narrowed. He knew this would happen. The alien father had already alerted others, bounty hunters, slavers, maybe even patrol ships to them. The daughters were valuable. To them, the human was a thief. Alarms buzzed softly. A red dot appeared on the scanner, growing closer. Another ship was following. The human clenched his teeth. "They found us," he muttered. The eldest daughter stepped closer. Who is following us?" He looked at her, his face serious. "Hunters. People who won't stop until they take you back." The middle daughter's hands shook. "Then we're not safe." The human turned. His voice was firm. "You are safe as long as I'm here. I promise." The youngest girl tugged on his sleeve. "But they will hurt you." He gave a small smile. "They can try." The scanner beeped louder. The hunters were gaining speed. The human pushed controls, shifting the ship into higher thrust. The stars stretched outside the windows as they entered a faster drive. But the hunters followed, closing in like shadows with teeth. The ship rattled, warning lights flashing. The girls clung to the walls, their eyes wide with fear. The human stayed steady, every move controlled, his voice calm. "Hold on, we're not done yet." The hunters fired. Bright blasts lit the dark space, shaking the ship. Sparks flew across the panel. The youngest screamed. The middle daughter held her close. The eldest stared at the human, amazed at his focus. He dodged left, then right. Weaving through the fire, his hands moved quick, precise, like a man who had done this 100 times before. "Come on, hold together," he whispered to the ship. One blast struck the rear. The vessel shook violently. Alarms screamed. The girls cried out, but the human steadied the controls, guiding the ship into an asteroid field ahead. The Eldest gasped, "You'll kill us." The human shook his head. "No, this is where we survive." They plunged into the field. Rocks the size of mountains drifted slowly, casting shadows across the stars. The hunters followed, but not as fast. One wrong move and they would crash. Human guided the ship through the narrow gaps, his eyes sharp, his hands steady. The hunters tried to follow, blasting rocks out of the way, but one mistake, and an explosion lit the sky. One hunter ship gone. The girls gasped, their fear mixing with awe. The human kept going, dodging, weaving, until finally silence returned. The scanner cleared. The hunters had fallen back. The ship slowed. The danger. Passing, the girls slumped to the floor, their breaths heavy, their hearts racing. The human leaned back in his chair, exhausted but unbroken. He looked at them, his voice softer now. "See? I told you, you are safe." The eldest girl stared at him for a long moment. Then she whispered, almost to herself, Maybe you are different." The youngest climbed onto his lap, her small hands gripping his shirt. "Father," she said again. Stronger this time, the word hung in the air, heavy with meaning. The human said nothing. But deep inside, something shifted. He was no longer just a traveler, no longer just a man with a ship. He was becoming something more, something he had never planned for. And as the stars stretched endlessly before them, the journey had only just begun. The chase. The silence after the asteroid field felt heavy. The girls sat close together, their hearts still racing. The human kept his eyes on the controls, watching every signal. He knew the hunters were not finished. They never gave up this easily. For a short moment, peace returned. The ship drifted. Among the stars, the hum of the engine steady. The youngest girl leaned against his arm, her eyelids heavy. The middle daughter whispered, "Are we safe now?" The human shook his head slowly. "Not yet. They will come again, stronger." And he was right. A sharp alarm cut through the quiet. The scanner flashed red. Not one ship this time, 3. They appeared behind them, sleek and dark, their weapons glowing. The hunters had called for help, and now the real chase began. The eldest girl stood, gripping the edge of the chair. "What do we do?" The human's voice was calm but firm. "We run." The engines roared louder. The ship surged forward. The hunters followed, their engines burning bright like fire in the dark. Plasma shots cut through the void, glowing trails chasing the humans. "Vessel," the girl screamed as a blast struck the side. Sparks flew across the cabin. The youngest clung to him. "They'll catch us." "Not if I can help it," he muttered. His hands flew over the controls. He pushed the ship into a spiral, weaving between the blasts, each move precise, sharp, calculated. The hunters fired again, but the shots missed, flashing past into the darkness. The middle daughter stared at him with wide eyes. "How do you know how to fly like this?" The human gave no answer. His past was hidden, locked away, but his movements spoke of experience, of battles fought and survived. He was no ordinary trader. The hunters closed in. One swung wide, trying to flank them. Another fired a net of energy, blue light spreading like a trap. The human's eyes narrowed. He pulled a sudden dive, the ship rolling down hard. The net snapped shut above them, empty. The hunters cursed over the comes, but the human did not listen. His focus was unbroken. The eldest daughter looked at him, her fear turning into something else, respect. She had never seen someone fight so hard to keep them safe. The ship rattled as another blast hit the rear. The engine lights flickered. The human cursed under his breath. "Hold together, just a little longer." He steered the ship toward a nearby planet, a broken world with jagged rings of rock and dust. "We'll lose them there," he said. Hunters followed. The chase tore through the planet's rings. Dust clouds and spinning rocks made visibility low. The human flew dangerously close to the debris, using it as cover. Plasma shots struck the rocks, exploding into showers of fire. The girls cried out, but he pushed the ship faster, his voice sharp. "Stay down, trust me." One hunter ship closed. In its guns locked onto them, the human waited, silent, then pulled a sudden turn. The ship scraped along a massive rock, sparks flying. The hunter behind them didn't turn fast enough. It crashed, exploding in flames. The girls gasped, their fear mixing with awe. Two hunters remained, angrier now. Their shots came faster, brighter. The human's ship shuddered under the storm. The middle daughter grabbed the eldest's hand, whispering, "He won't let them take us, he can't." The human steered into the shadow of a massive rock tower. Hiding in the dark, he shut down the lights, holding his breath. The girls stayed silent, the hum of the ship fading to nothing. Hunters scanned the area, beams of light sweeping the rings. One passed dangerously close. The youngest girl covered her mouth, trying not to make a sound. Minutes stretched like hours. Then one hunter flew past, then the other. Their engines roared into the distance. They thought they had lost the human, but the human waited. He knew. Better, he waited until the signals cleared from the scanner. Only then did he restart the ship. The hum returned. The lights glowed softly again. The girls exhaled, shaking. The eldest finally spoke. "Why do you risk everything for us? You could have left us there. You could have walked away." The human looked at her, his face calm, but his voice heavy with truth. "Because no one else would. Because someone had to. And because sometimes being human means standing up when no one else will." The girls stared at him, their fear slowly turning into something stronger, trust. The ship left the broken rings, heading back into open space. But the human knew this was only the beginning. The hunters would return, stronger and more prepared. The chase was far from over, still for now. The girls were safe, and for the first time, they believed him when he said those words. They huddled close together, whispering softly. And as the stars stretched before them, the bond between the human and the daughters grew deeper, stronger. The chase had only made it clear he was no longer just a stranger, no longer just a man with a ship. He was their protector, and maybe something even more, their father. The bond. The ship drifted quietly through the endless dark. The hum of the engines was the only sound. After the chase, after the fire and danger, silence felt almost unreal. The three daughters sat close together, their eyes still wide from fear, but slowly, very slowly, that fear began to fade. The human moved around the cabin, checking the systems. His arm still carried a burn from the earlier fight. But he said nothing about it. He only focused on the ship and on keeping it steady. The eldest girl watched him carefully. There was something about the way he moved, calm, steady, never panicked, that made her chest tighten. Finally, the middle daughter whispered, "Why? Why do you not leave us? We slow you down. We bring danger." The human paused, turning his eyes toward her. His voice was quiet. "Because family is not a burden. Family is a reason." The word family made the girls exchange looks. It was not a word they heard often. Their father had never said it with meaning. To him, they had only been mouths to feed or debts to trade. The youngest girl tugged on the human's sleeve. Her voice was small. "Then, are we family?" The human crouched down, looking at her directly. His eyes softened for the first time. "If you want me to be, then yes, you are." The youngest blinked, tears filling her eyes. She leaned against him, whispering the word that had been on her lips since the market. "Father." The sound of it broke something inside him. He had not planned this. He had not asked for it. But hearing it made his chest ache in a way he had forgotten. He placed his hand gently on her shoulder, saying nothing. But the silence itself was an answer. The middle daughter moved closer, still hesitant, her voice shaking. "Father," she repeated, testing the word. For the first time she smiled, just a little. The eldest stayed back, her arms crossed. Her eyes were hard, not from anger but from fear. She wanted to believe. But she had seen too much betrayal, too much pain. Trust was not something she could give easily. The human did not push her. He only stood and returned to the controls. "Eat," he said simply, opening a small storage box. Inside were packets. of human rations, plain but filling. The girls hesitated at first, but hunger was stronger. They ate quickly. The food was strange but warm, and as they ate, they watched him. The way he fixed wires, the way he adjusted panels, the way he always looked calm, even when alarms blinked red. Hours passed. The ship sailed deeper into space. But peace never lasted long. The scanner beeped, faint at first, then louder. The eldest froze. "They're back," she whispered. The human checked the screen. His jaw tightened. Not hunters this time. Something else. A transmission crackled through the comms. A voice they all knew too well. The daughters stiffened. Their blood running cold. It was their father, the one who had traded them for whiskey. His words were sharp and full of rage. "You think you can steal what is mine, human? You think you can shame me? Return them, or you will not live to see." Another sunrise. The youngest whimpered. The middle clutched her hand. The eldest's face hardened like stone. Her voice shook with anger. "We are not yours. You gave us away. You chose whiskey over us." The father's laugh came through the comms, bitter and cruel. "You are my blood. You belong to me. And I will take you back, even if I must tear that human apart to do it." The transmission cut off, silence filling the cabin again. The girls trembled, but the human's face stayed calm. His voice steady. "He won't touch you, not while I'm here," the middle daughter whispered. "But he's our father." The human turned his eyes to her, sharp but not unkind. "A father is not just blood. A father is the one who protects, the one who stays. He gave up that right when he traded you away." The eldest looked at him, her hard mask breaking just a little. Something in her heart shifted, something she had been holding back. Her lips trembled before she whispered, almost against her will, "Then maybe you are our true father." The human did not answer with words. He only placed a hand over the control panel and pushed the ship into a faster course. His silence was stronger than promises. The girls sat together, but their eyes never left him. Now the bond was forming, fragile but real, born not from blood but from choice. The scanner beeped again. The alien father's ship was closing fast, stronger and heavier than before. The human's jaw tightened. He had saved them once. He had fought hunters, but now he would face the one enemy no child should ever have to fight, their own father. The bond between them would be tested in fire, and in that moment, as the stars rushed past, the daughters whispered the word together, holding onto it like a shield. "Father." Asterisk. The confrontation, the blackness of space stretched endlessly. But the human ship was not alone anymore. On the scanner, a larger shadow grew faster, heavier, powerful. The alien father's ship. The daughters huddled close, their small hands gripping one another. The eldest clenched her jaw, her anger boiling. The middle trembled, torn between fear and confusion. The youngest buried her face against the human's arm. The human stood at the controls, silent, his eyes locked on the approaching vessel. His voice finally broke the stillness, steady and sharp. "He's here." Moments later, a harsh voice cut through the comms. It was their father, dripping with venom and pride. "Human, this is your last chance. Return what you stole. Return my daughters, or I will tear your ship apart piece by piece." The eldest daughter shouted before the human could reply. "We are not yours. You sold us. You chose whiskey instead of us." The alien father laughed, bitter and cruel. "You are blood. You can scream. You can deny. But you belong to me. That human cannot change who you are." The youngest sobbed, her small voice breaking. "We don't belong to you. We belong with him." The human placed a steady hand on her shoulder, his eyes never leaving the screen. His voice calm. "You had your chance to be their father. You threw it away. They are not yours anymore." The alien's voice rose, furious. "You think you can take what is mine? You are nothing. A wandering human with no family, no home. Do you think you can replace me?" The human's silence spoke louder than words, but the daughters answered for him, their voices shaking but strong. "You already lost us," said the eldest. "He is our father now," whispered the middle. "He saved us," cried the youngest. The alien's laughter cracked, replaced by a growl. "Then you have chosen your side, and you will die with him." His ship fired. Bright blasts cut across the darkness, shaking the human's vessel. Sparks lit the cabin. The girls screamed. The human tightened his grip on the controls. Weaving sharply, dodging the shots, he spoke firmly, his voice like steel. "Stay down, don't be afraid." The eldest glared at the screen, her anger boiling into courage. "Fight him, don't let him win." The battle began. The father's ship was bigger, stronger, armed with weapons built for destruction. The human's vessel was smaller, lighter, but faster. His hands moved with deadly precision, spinning the ship through fire, dodging blasts that lit the stars like thunder. Inside, the daughters clung to each other, watching every move. The human fought not just for survival, but for them. The alien father's voice returned, mocking. "Look at you, running like a coward. You cannot protect them forever. A true father takes what is his." The human's voice rose for the first time, fierce and unyielding. "A true father doesn't trade his children for poison. A true father protects, even if it costs his life." The daughters gasped at the power in his words. Their eyes burned with tears. The alien father roared, his ship firing again. A blast struck the side. Alarms screamed. The hull shook. The human's knuckles turned white against the controls, but he pushed back. His ship rolled through the storm, diving close to the alien vessel, slipping under its guns for one heartbeat. They were face to face, one father who abandoned, one father who chose. The daughters screamed together, "He is our father now." Their voices carried like fire through the cabin. And something inside the human shifted. His movements grew sharper, faster, his will unbreakable. He pulled a daring maneuver, spinning behind the alien vessel, firing his smaller but precise weapons. Into its weak spots, explosions ripped across the larger ship's surface. Lights flickering, the alien father cursed over the coms, rage mixing with desperation. "This isn't over. They are mine. They will always be mine." The human's reply was cold and final. "Not anymore." Another blast hit, the alien ship breaking apart, sparks and fire spilling into the void. Slowly, it drifted back, broken but not yet destroyed. The coms went silent. The daughters sat frozen, their breaths sharp, their hearts pounding. They had seen their old father fight to claim them, and their new father fight to protect them. The difference was clear as light and dark. The eldest finally stepped forward, her eyes wet but burning with strength. She placed her hand on the human's shoulder, whispering, "You are our father now. Nothing can change that." The middle nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "He lost us the moment he gave us away. You found us. You saved us." The youngest clung tighter, her voice small but sure. "Forever, father." The human closed his eyes for a moment, breathing deeply. He had not asked for this. He had not expected it, but their voices carved into him like truth. He opened his eyes, his jaw firm. "We keep moving," he said quietly. "Together." The broken ship of the alien father drifted away into the dark, powerless. His daughters were gone, his whiskey empty, his pride shattered, and aboard the small, scarred vessel, a new family had been born, stronger than blood, forged in fire and choice. The confrontation was over, but the bond was now unbreakable. The new family, the stars stretched wide and endless. The human's ship drifted forward, scarred from battle but still alive. Inside, the silence felt heavy, not from fear this time, but from everything they had endured. The daughters sat close together, their eyes still red from tears, their hearts still racing from the fight. Yet there was something new in them, something that had never been there before. Safety. The human checked the controls. The ship's systems were damaged, sparks flickering in the corner panels, but it would hold. It had to. He turned back, watching the three girls, his voice calm. "It's over now, you're safe." The eldest stood, her hands trembling. She stared at him with a mix of fear, respect, and something deeper. He won't stop, she whispered, even broken. He will come again, the human nodded. Maybe, but if he does, I'll be ready. He won't take you, not ever. The middle daughter's eyes filled with tears. Why? Why do you fight so hard for us? You could have left. You could have walked away in the market like everyone else. The human's face softened, his voice low, steady. Because you deserve better. Because no one should ever be sold. Because children deserve love, and because I will not abandon you. The youngest slipped off her seat and ran into his arms, hugging him tightly. Her small voice shook but carried strength. Then you are father forever. The word struck deep. The other two girls moved closer, at first hesitant, then stronger. The middle leaned against him, whispering, "You are our father now." The eldest, who had held back the longest, finally let her guard fall. Her voice cracked. "You are the only father we have left." The human wrapped his arms around them, pulling them close. For the first time in years, maybe in his whole life, he felt something he thought he had lost. Long ago, a family. The silence was broken by the stars outside, endless and shining. The human guided the ship forward, setting a new course. Not back to the markets, not back to slavery, but toward freedom, toward a future. The eldest wiped her eyes and finally asked, "Where will we go?" The human gave a small smile. "Anywhere we want. A family doesn't need a place. A family only needs each other." The girls exchanged looks. Their fear was still there, but so was hope. Hope stronger than chains. But the galaxy was wide and dangerous. Hunters would return. Their old father might crawl back from the dark. Many enemies would rise. Yet the girls knew something now, something that gave them strength. They were not alone. Days passed as the ship traveled through the stars. The girls laughed softly for the first time, learning to eat properly, learning to rest without fear. The youngest followed the human everywhere, clinging to him like a shadow. The middle asked questions, curious about his world, about Earth. The eldest trained herself to stay alert, guarding the others as if she had inherited his strength. One evening, as the stars glowed like rivers outside the window, the humans sat with them around a small table. They shared food, they shared silence, and then the eldest spoke. "We were born from his blood, but he lost us the moment he gave us away. You fought for us. You stayed. That makes you our true father." The human said nothing, but his eyes softened. His silence was acceptance. The youngest leaned against him, whispering, "We are yours now." The middle smiled, "And you are ours." The human closed his eyes for a moment, breathing in their words. He had once thought he was a man alone, wandering the stars without purpose. But now, purpose had found him. They were not his by blood, but they were his by choice. And sometimes, choice was stronger than blood. Far away, drifting broken in the dark, the alien father's ship floated silently, his bottle empty, his daughters gone. His laughter turned to ash. He had lost everything, not because they were stolen, but because he had given them away. Meanwhile, the human ship cut across the galaxy, carrying not just passengers, but a new family. The daughters leaned against him, whispering the word again, the word that no enemy could ever take from them. "Father." And this time, he whispered back strong and sure, "Daughters." The story of their trade had ended, but the story of their family had only just begun.